There was a Christmas that we didn't get invited. We didn't get the presents. Aunts, uncles, cousins, nothing.
Yeah.
Everything gone. We no longer went to having friends round for tea. That never happened again. So I'd get like pins stuck in the back of me. And so I learned at an early age that work was safe. I didn't have time to be ill. So I didn't listen to my body. I was quite poorly, vomiting blood and in pain. I was going through these cycles of self-sabotage and like exhaustion, but like real exhaustion. So like burnout. I was struggling at work because I thought everybody hated me at work. I went into a number of really, really wrong relationships.
That's because your nervous system is used to that.
There was text dating on BT Cellnet where you would text a number and whatever. I can remember looking down on myself and watching me being worked on.
Like you say, you mentioned the bright
so
light.
So it was a bright white light, and I was looking like a bird's eye view down on myself on a bed, and she was like stood next to me. And if I wanted to go with her, I was more than welcome to do so, and she held out a hand. I just didn't feel that I should be here anymore. And they were like, you need to get a dog. And I was like, I can't look after myself.
You mentioned earlier about the physical effects of trauma, and you lost your voice for 7 months.
And all sorts of woo-woo stuff if people are into that.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so this spiritual hero from Australia, my message throughout this whole thing is going to be, it does and can get easier.
Hello and welcome to Becoming Lucy with me, Hannah.
And me, Lucy. So, have you ever looked at someone and thought, God, they really got their life together. They're successful, high functioning, always busy, always coping. And then one day you realise they're actually running on survival mode.
Yes, today's episode is about what happens when your whole personality is built around trying to feel safe, trying to feel chosen, and trying to feel loved.
Because today's guest spent years doing what so many women are praised for. Overworking, achieving, holding everything together, and being just fine, while quietly carrying grief, rejection, anxiety, burnout, and emotional patterns that started when she was just a child.
And honestly, some parts of this conversation genuinely stopped us. There's a moment involving a Facebook post, a letter, and a realisation that changed the entire direction of her life.
We have talked about the body holding trauma before the mind catches up, like wrong relationships, being a workaholic, nervous system regulation, the pressure to earn love, and the moment she realised she spent decades searching for validation from people who were never going to give it.
And there's also a conversation in this episode about her dog. And I know it sounds small, although for anyone that knows me knows I love animals. But honestly, it might just be one of the most emotional parts of the whole episode.
And because this episode isn't really about burnout, it's about what happens when someone becomes so disconnected from themselves, they stop believing they matter at all, and then slowly find their way back.
And I think a lot of people are going to hear themselves in this conversation, especially women who've mistaken survival patterns for personality traits.
Yeah. And welcome, Hazel.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Hazel, for reaching out to Lucy and I to want to share your story on our podcast. We're super grateful and really kind of excited to dig deeper. Excellent. Great start from me. But no, we are really excited and super grateful, like we said. And we normally sort of share if we know guests or not. And we don't know Hazel. We're really excited to get to know you from a child right up to where you are now. And just sort of listen and hear what you've got to say. So thank you again for sharing your story with us.
You're very welcome.
Pleasure. Whereabouts are you from, Hazel, by the way?
So I live just north of Newcastle now.
Mm.
So Northumberland area
Northumberland,
now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just to get a bit of a gauge where you work. And obviously I know, because you know April Wild as well, aren't you, on the Is that right? Or am I got that completely wrong? No, there we go. Got it
From
completely wrong.
Hazel's face, for those that are listening,
Yeah.
Lucy's got it completely wrong.
There we go. There we go. Might have cut that bit out.
No, leave
No,
it in.
keep it really
No,
long.
yeah, no.
That's how we
I think
like
it might have
it.
just been like mutual, like
Maybe,
like
maybe,
Instagram stuff, and
yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm like, are we in like the wellness events? Because she does like wellness events
Oh,
and stuff
probably
like
because
that.
I go and do talks and like I go around
There
different
we
ones, so
go.
I might have just passed and not realised who it was.
Right, there we go.
Well,
There we go.
also, now you've also said the Newcastle area, which we detected with your accent. But we might need to hook you up for some advice for this weekend, because me and Lucy are off to Sunderland for the big weekend
Right.
for Radio
Oh, are
1.
you?
So we might need to
Yeah.
hook you up for some advice around the local area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've literally got tickets last minute, haven't we? And we're trying to we don't know where we are. We're staying in an Airbnb. Like, we need to get a taxi. I need an accessible taxi, and it's just like, yeah. So yeah.
Good luck.
Anyway, thank you.
Right then, let's get
Yeah, rolling into the episode. So obviously we explained Hazel's kind of background a little bit, and I think just to get a little bit more about you, Hazel, I think obviously we mentioned very high functioning when you're adult, but there's always something what we've kind of, I don't know, established in these episodes. It kind of comes from your younger years as well, of what people have been through. So what was childhood like emotionally for you?
So I'd probably say as a young child, so under the age of 7, that I grew up on a farm in the Scottish borders with my brother. Both my parents worked. So we were always a little bit different because we were the country kids who grew up on a farm, but it was very, very loving. Like, we played outside and that kind of thing. We did move around after the age of 5. We moved house quite a few times. So that's where it probably started, where we never got like used to one place. So we made friends at school, but then we moved to another school in a different area and changed that. So that's when it probably happened before that, but I was really close to like my grandparents. So at school holidays, weekends, I would go to my grandparents for our holidays or whatever. And I was incredibly close to particularly my granda. And then we moved around. So I guess that's where it very started. So the seed was sown, if you like, that when you get used to something, it's moved and moved
And
again.
can I ask why you moved around a lot?
So my dad changed jobs. He worked on farms, agricultural, and we just moved jobs. It felt like we moved a lot. I think we moved about five or six times, quite young. And I think at that age you just get used to your environment, and then another first school and another first school, and that's why, really.
And obviously, when you were moving schools and things like that, did you still feel like you had that like loving sort of family dynamic with your parents and your brother, or did that kind of start to fade away the more you were moving?
That was always quite strong at that point. It was always about the friendship groups and things that was a little bit strange, but that was our normal. When we eventually moved to so we lived in the Scottish borders, then we moved to not far from where I live now, just north of Newcastle. We stayed there for like a number of years, so that felt like comfortable. And I think, if I'm honest, that's why I've ended up where I live now, because it feels close to where I was happiest as a
and like
child.
safe. Yeah.
Yeah, in that safe environment. And then it wasn't until and then we moved back further up north, and we stayed there. My parents are still in that area of North Northumberland now. So yeah, the home life, the family life was safe, secure, happy.
Yeah.
Up until I was 13.
Right. And your grandparents then, were they Scotland? Were they Northumbria?
So they were Scottish borders.
Right. So did you get to
obviously-
still see them a lot then? Because you
Yeah.
were moving, or
Yeah, so literally we used to I used to be my favourite place to go. So like weekends, school holidays, 6 weeks school holidays, I'd be there a month easily. Like I'd just live there.
Oh, well.
And like anything like that happened good at school, so your school report, it would be my granddad that I would ring first, or a painting that I would. Do you know what kids are like? Like it would be my
Yeah.
granddad. Christmas morning, it would be my granddad that I would want to ring first.
Aw.
And Christmases were always really, really good at their house. You know how you've got one side of the family that's usually better than the other, and then you've got one side of the family that you get good presents off. Like they were the good ones. Like you're excited to get
Yeah.
Yeah.
presents off the aunties and uncles and grandparents, and
Yeah.
it was
No, I
really
can
good.
I can resonate with that. Like when you've just got your favourite, like my nan is what I'm thinking about right now. Like, you know, the best grandparent out of all of them. And obviously, yeah, you just, that connection is something really special, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you've mentioned that everything, apart from moving around, and obviously that's probably taught you some resilience for, you know, for your older adult life, that, you know, your family dynamic actually was pretty good. And you've got this a lovely relationship with your grandparents, and, you know, what you're painting about living on farms and being outside, you know, does sound amazing, bar the moving around. And then when you hit 13, you lose multiple connections all at once. Can you explain a little bit about kind of what happened in terms of that?
Yeah. So as I've just mentioned, funny enough, about Christmas, there was a Christmas that we didn't get invited, we didn't get the presents, and didn't really understand like what was happening. Like there was no
Mm.
explanation. It just didn't happen. Then I see my grandparents again in the January, and then there was a massive family fallout. Like unimaginable family fallout.
Mm.
And literally overnight, everything changed. There was no relationship at all after that.
Wow.
God, then that
With
takes a lot.
grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, nothing, everything
Yeah.
gone.
That whole side of the best side of the Christmas
Mm.
family is
Yeah,
literally just been
just
switched
gone.
away.
And
Wow.
what were your parents saying to you then, when obviously you and your brother were rightly so being like, why can't we speak to, you know, our grandparents anymore? What's going on? Like, what kind of thing did they tell you to try and did they make you feel better? You know, did you see right through the lies? Like, what did you feel in those moments?
It was really, really difficult because it was quite traumatic at home. Um, Atmospherical, eggshelly, um,
Mm.
everything changed. Like I can't even put it into words how much changed. Like from after school clubs we no longer went to, having friends round for tea, that never happened again. Like literally everything changed. And it I guess I don't know. At 13, you don't really know the right questions to ask.
Mm.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it was really, really difficult.
Yeah, and I spoke like obviously we all know as a 13-year-old girl you're very hormonal anyway. There's
Mhm.
lots of changes, not over like going in your body, in your mind with your hormones. How were you processing that then? Because I'm just trying to put myself in that
Mm.
situation. Was it just like sitting in your room, listening to music, getting up? Like you say, your social activities have gone, everything's changing. Can you remember how you were dealing with that kind of internally back then?
It was really difficult because I didn't want to show my emotions on the outside because I could see how like difficult a time my parents were going through. Um, and that's where I learned how to numb my own pain and internalize
Mm.
things.
And when you say numb your own pain, that's a real like strong sentence, you know, and I feel like there'll be a lot of people that can resonate with that. Like I can certainly resonate with that as a teenager, and there'll be a lot of people that didn't really know what they were doing, but they were building this resilience. But they should never have been doing that at that age. And like Lucy said, what kind of things did you do to kind of distract yourself then? Like, did you get into the creative side of things? Did you just sort of listen to the music? Did you read books? Like, how did you take yourself away from the eggshell atmosphere?
So because my parents worked a lot, we cleaned I say we, but it was mainly me. My brother didn't really do it, but we cleaned the house, like making
Mm.
sure like this tea ready, um, and then it was just like going walking and things like that, like around the country, and like it was mainly like doing jobs around the house. So because if you did something, then like that was a good thing to do, and then
Mm.
like it would make things a little bit better, or um And then as I got older, so like I was going through GCSEs and things, and then school, and then I got a job. So I got like a job washing dishes quite young. And then I got a job in a fruit and veg shop. And then as I got older and old enough to work, then I always had like weekend jobs and things as well. So I pretty much started working really, really young.
Yeah. And was that to escape your home environment?
It wasn't necessarily to escape. I think it was two reasons really, because we grew up in the country. So if we didn't have money and we didn't have a car, then we didn't do anything.
Mm.
So my main objective was to earn money so I could get a car. And I was bullied quite badly at school, not because of the family fallout necessarily, but I was quite overweight at school. So I'd get like pins stuck in the back of me and back of my shirt, see if it
Oh
would
God.
deflate me and stuff like that. And
Oh.
so I was quite badly bullied, so I hated school. So I learned probably the age of 15, 16, that work was a safe place to be because you
Mm.
didn't have to socialize with these people that were picking on you in the streets and all that sort of thing. So I learned at an early age that work was safe.
It's so sad to think of you as like a young teenage girl, not having the love and support at home, not having the friendship circle at school, and kind of your only way out is to work. And it's just heartbreaking. And did you have a close relationship with your brother when you guys were going through this living at home, or was he off doing his own thing to distract himself?
So my brother, I think we were close at the beginning. And I mean, my parents, I mean, they tried their best. Like it wasn't there necessarily like they weren't taking it out on us.
No.
Mm.
I think it was just what happened was so big that nobody really knew how to like process it, how to
Yeah.
deal with it, and everybody deals with things in their own way.
Mhm.
And as a child looking in, you don't know how to react to that. And I think like I know this is going to jump about a bit, but like I don't necessarily hold anything against my parents about
Mm.
how they did things because at the end of the day, it served me well doing what I do now because
Mm.
I needed to go through that to be able to help other people.
Yeah.
I know that's a messed up way to put it, but if I hadn't experienced all that, then I wouldn't be able to help anybody else.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
We
But
hear it a lot, don't we? Like we hear a lot of our guests say that to be able to give back and help, they are, glad's the wrong word, but just like you've put it,
yeah,
Hazel, they've been through experiences and traumas that provide them with the skills and the knowledge and the empathy to be able to sit and help and recognize people that are in similar situations. So we understand that it doesn't sound messed up. It makes
no.
sense, but it's just,
Also, they
know.
were probably doing the best. I mean, obviously, we're not going to divulge into what happened with the family feud, but they're trying to keep the family together, aren't they? So it's their way of trying to say, well, like, I don't know if you moved or whatever, but like, no, we're staying together, but it's how they're dealing with their emotions that's showing. And like you say, they're not taking it out on you. It's just everyone's, like you say, treading on eggshells and trying to be back to what was before, but you can't really be back
can't
to
ever go
before.
back.
And if
No.
you think, obviously, like your generational gaps now compared to how people talked out more, how
Yeah.
therapy is more talked about, that wasn't going on back then.
No.
It was just basically shut up, crack on, and get on with it
Yeah.
kind of attitude, wasn't it? I'm not saying that's from your parents, but that's I
But
get that from my parents.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
but
Or
and it's
you
a
know, future
generational,
generations.
it's a
Yeah.
generational traumas as well. So, and I know trauma is a bit of a funny word because like my generation trauma means something very different to what 20, 30-year-olds
Mm.
means now.
Yeah.
But parents, nobody gets a handbook. Nobody's taught what to do in all these millions of different circumstances. So everybody just does the best they can, and there's casualties along the way, but
Yeah.
it's how we bounce back from it.
It's how you get through it. Yeah. And I think also on the flip side, it's okay if you have had, I think, problems or traumatic situations with parents and you don't feel this way. I think it's really important to highlight that because it's even though they're just trying their best and they're working through things or whatever situation someone might come from, it's okay to be like, I still can't forgive that treatment of how I felt at the time or whatever. But equally, I think as you get older and you start to become more at peace with situations, and we all know as you move into your sort of late 30s, into your 40s, into your 50s, you start to not give a fuck what people think, what people say. You protect your own peace. And I think with that comes that reflection of like, God, I spent a long time harboring some really negative feelings against X, Y, Z. And whilst I'm not going to sit and regret that, because at the time, and still it is valid, but actually I'm going to start moving through that. And I think that's kind of what you're alluding to. And I think it was just important to highlight that if someone is in that space where I can never think about forgiving this person, or I can't ever think about that, like, they must not have gone through something as traumatic as me. You just got to hope that you will move through that eventually. And whatever that looks like for you, right? Because trauma, like you said, is different, but the emotions attached to trauma are the same, and it's all relative. Whether you've broken a nail or you've been in a car accident, if that gives you a certain emotion, then that's valid, regardless of what the actual situation is.
And I would have responded very different to all of this conversation 10, 15, 20 years ago to what I am now. Like, I would completely different. I was very highly charged, very highly emotional. I talk about it now as if it's like, what was for tea last night? Back then, I wouldn't have. Back then, there was emotion attached to everything. So it's just a different stage of my journey to what other people listening would be at. And that's absolutely fine. But I guess my message throughout this whole thing is going to be, it does and can get easier. It's just a journey.
Yeah, that's really good to recognise. And one thing I do want to point out on, which we talk about a lot in these episodes, what me and Hannah have learned a lot more, is how trauma not only affects obviously our mental health, but also our physical health and our body. And you went through some health issues as well in it as a teenager, didn't you? Can you explain to us more about that?
So I've gone through quite a lot that has then, after I've done research and things, is because I stored all that emotion that we just mentioned earlier. Because I wasn't discussing it and talking it out, I learned how to internalize everything and be known that I was going to do myself as much damage as what I did. So I developed quite bad asthma at high school age and had a number of asthma attacks that I needed ambulance treatment and admitted to hospital for. So I was diagnosed with the breathing condition asthma. And as I've already mentioned, I was overweight. And at the age of 19, I was quite poorly, vomiting blood and in pain, and I needed my gallbladder removed.
Wow.
During my gallbladder being removed, it wasn't stones, it was like sand. So when they cut it leaked out and filled my bile ducts. And I was quite poorly on the table.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And with the research that, sorry, carry on.
No.
Because obviously I always find this really grief. Like, you say, no, you've done research now, that was holding from your body. What is it? Because obviously asthma to me is like your breath, your voice, isn't it? Your gallbladder, is that anything?
You mean like where it's connected in the body?
Where's it? Like, have you found out?
Probably haven't Googled that one. Because I'm quite I've looked into a lot of sort of spiritual connections and holistic healings, and I've worked with spiritual healers and all sorts of things over the years. And I normally Google the spirit meaning of asthma, the spirit meaning of losing your voice and things like that. Haven't Googled the spirit meaning of your gallbladder though.
Well, let us know. I mean, we're not going to do it right now, but Google it, Hazel, and let us know, because that'd be really interesting.
You find out about the asthma, guys, and I'll Google it.
Well, while she's Googling, what we will obviously allude to actually is that surgery, because obviously already it, physically, that is horrendous. But you've mentioned something when we were sort of doing our research, funnily enough, about what happened on that table in the operating theatre, and kind of like an experience that you had. So please tell us more.
So, as I've alluded to, I was quite poorly, and there was a number of people working on me. During that, I can remember looking down on myself and watching me being worked on. My neighbour from the first house, before we started moving around as a child, Jenny, she came. So she was sat next to me as I was looking down on all these people working on me.
As a spirit, right?
Yeah. And she said to me that she was here to look after me, and if I wanted to go with her, I was more than welcome to do so, and she held out a hand. Or I could go back, and I had more work to do. So she would like me to go back, but it was ultimately my decision. Um, and then I chose to come back. And she disappeared, and the light went off because it was like a bright white light. And then, yeah, came. Then the next thing I remember was like after coming out of surgery and things, and then remembering, and then I'd mentioned it to a nurse or something about like how many doctors and things I'd seen, and she was like, "How do you know they're not on shift today? Like, how can you describe them?" And I was like, "Oh, because I've seen them."
Oh,
And they
what
were
was
So
the
it's
still
like an
working
out.
it.
reaction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did,
They're like,
did, did they say,
"You sure?"
let's just get you some more meds and calm you down? Or did they ask any more questions? Or
They didn't really ask any more questions other than there's no way you can know that. I was like, I could see it, like I was watching it. So I fully 100% believe it, but I don't think they did at the time. But there was no way I could have known how many people were
yeah,
there
Yeah.
unless I'd
So
seen
I
it.
got so many questions now. So were you looking down from like a bird's eye view? Was Jenny just like talking to me and Hannah right now? Like you say,
Yeah,
you
like
mentioned the
there.
bright
So you like
light. Like
so it was a bright white light, and I was looking like a bird's eye view down on
yeah.
myself on a bed, and she was like stood next to me with a hand out.
And when she offered you to go with her, did you have any kind of thoughts? Do you remember about I could choose this option and just remove myself from this life, or did you always think I'm not ready to go?
I could have easily gone.
hmm.
Mm.
It's funny you say that because going back to the Google research with the gallbladder and obviously Jenny telling you to go back, and also you mentioning how you felt. Obviously, if we recorded this podcast 10 years ago, it says here the gallbladder, right? Issues represent unresolved anger, bitterness, and an inability to process emotional trauma or make clear life decisions, because basically the gallbladder stores and releases bile to digest fats. Energetic blockages here reflect hardening of feelings and inability to digest challenging life experiences.
That is exactly what you've just been speaking about.
Yeah.
Well, there's your spiritual meaning. You can tick that one off.
But it happens a lot, and I know we're going to jump a bit, but like
Yeah.
5 years ago, I lost my voice for 7 months, and that was the same thing. It was because I couldn't speak my truth.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, can't wait to get into that section. For now, then, you've obviously had your visit from Jenny, and before we went to the gallbladder spiritual meaning, you said that you could have quite easily gone at that moment. What was it then that held you here? And we're obviously very happy that you chose that path. What was it that overrode the kind of feeling of I'm just going to go?
I think it was at that point, it was still the uncertainty, because at that point, it was only what, 4 or 5 years ago since the family fallout. So in my head as a 19-year-old, it was probably like, oh, well, there's still time for it to be resolved. And like,
Mhm.
you don't know what's going to happen. So like, yeah, let's go back. So yeah, I think it was because I felt that it could still be resolved at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, brilliant that you did. Brilliant that you had that optimism in you, because you're sitting here right now, and that out of body experience or spiritual experience that you had, you referenced that, you thought the nurses didn't really believe you, but who cares? It's brought you on your journey and on your path to be sat and obviously, be able to help people, like you said. So it's such an amazing thing to kind of have that experience and then think about where it's brought you to help other people. So yeah, I think it's really interesting, really, really interesting.
Mm. And did that, when you obviously came back from the gallbladder and you've had that conversation, you've still got work to do. Did that hit you immediately then? Like, I've got work to do? Or obviously that came years later,
That's
did it?
not that. It's only probably fairly recently that I've always known it, but then since doing the work that I do now, I'm like, oh yeah, it's making sense now.
It's probably knowing as well, isn't it? You got work
Yeah.
to do. What work? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
What work?
Especially at
Yeah.
19 years old. And
Yeah, it's like, well, what do you mean? What does it mean I'm going to
Yeah.
have like a family? Does it mean that like there's
yeah.
something there? Like, what does that mean? And it's
Yeah.
not really until I followed the path that I've followed
Yeah.
and worked with so many different. I mean, there's not anything I haven't tried, I don't think. So, I mean,
And we've said earlier in the introduction that obviously you've tried so hard to be chosen, so hard to be loved. You sort of referenced something when we were reading your notes about if you couldn't get love, you would earn it. And I think there's probably a lot of people and women and men sort of subconsciously living like that. I mean, what is your explanation of that? If you couldn't get love, you'd earn it.
So, and it's not necessarily about love, it's just about being wanted or
Mm,
needed or loved or just being that first choice.
mm,
So I went through a number of interesting relationships, I would say. So it was before internet dating. There was text dating on BT Cellnet where you would text us a number and whatever, and I would go all sorts of random places to meet people that were at the other end of a text message. And I wouldn't think of the dangers, I wouldn't think of the hassle, but it was like, this person's interested in me. I have to
mm,
go. Like I can't not.
mm,
So that was definitely connected to that because I thought that like I might not get another opportunity. And like if I say no, or if I say no to this opportunity, then I might not get another one. And so that was definitely led by that. I think in my first real relationship, if you like, as well, like I knew in my heart of hearts it wasn't right. But it was that fear of, but if I say no, or if I speak up for myself, what if I can't get another one? Or like,
mm.
let's just make do because you should have a partner and you should do this.
What
Um,
society tells you, basically.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Did you feel like you were living like a false life and a false version of yourself?
Yeah, I think I've done that for a long time, a long, long time. I think I wore several masks.
Mm,
Um, because it was easier. Um, and I think the validation that I got from work. So a lot of people say like they blame corporate for burnout and like the slogging year and everything
mm,
else. But I think certainly in my case, I have to accept responsibility for that because work was my safe place. Work
mm,
was the place that I could hide and I didn't have to think about what was going on at home or outside of work. And to be honest, work will never say no. Like if you're going to do the work,
mm.
they're going to just let you do it. Like, and that's up to the individual to put the boundaries in place that I didn't. So I just kept working and working and working.
And when you were saying like work will never say no, I mean, you were obviously a superstar employee. You know, they're obviously giving you your tasks. You're over and above achieving them, looking for more. I mean, what kind of work were you in at this
Yeah.
stage?
So I've been in my corporate role for 22 years. So I was
Wow.
in the corporate role that I'm in now. So recruitment, back office, so payroll, queries, invoicing, that sort of thing. And I also had at that time I had weekend jobs as well. So I like worked at weddings and a bar job, waitressing. I had a job at a shop as well at one point. And so literally it
Jesus,
wasn't
how many
necessarily
hours were
just
you doing? Like,
I wasn't at home very often, put it that way.
yeah.
So
And
yeah,
obviously, like from a financial point of view, and just to tap into this, you must have been earning some good money. So did you do anything with that to like treat yourself and, celebrate, go on holiday? Like, or did you also feel like you weren't worthy of doing stuff like that?
yeah, I didn't feel worthy of it. And I went into a number of really, really wrong relationships where I felt I needed to buy affection. So I got into a lot of debt with one particular one that,
Mm.
yeah, it blew me a lot.
Wow. It's just devastated, isn't it? Because God, you're working your butt off and you still, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Even at the point that I had a car and he took my car off me, that he needed my car and it was snowing and I would walk home in the snow and he would have my car and I'd be like, yeah, no worries.
Isn't it
Wow.
funny when you look back? Because I think we've all can put ourselves in situations where people might have walked all over us.
Yeah.
And basically how you how you would talk to yourself, you know what I mean, back then, because obviously all you want to do is feel safe and, you know, feel validated. You've got this relationship. I
Hmm.
mean, probably jumping the gun a little bit now, but what would you say to anybody who might be still doing these habits, you know, to I don't know if wake up call's the right word to
Mm.
use, but do you know what I mean? To kind of snap out of it and say you're
It's
worth
really,
more.
really difficult to give anybody the wake up call because I was comfortable being uncomfortable. As long as I
Mm.
could feel uncomfortable, I was feeling something because I couldn't feel anything, remember, because I've numbed everything. So
Wow.
I needed to feel something. So feeling uncomfortable meant that I was still doing something.
That's because your nervous system's used to that,
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
It was
That's
on the
why.
like the fight mode
yeah.
constantly,
Yeah.
which obviously then, like we've said before, resulted in illnesses, both physiologically and obviously
Mm.
clearly mentally as well. And I think that's the same with therapy, though. We've said before, you know, you could be looking at someone who is in dire need of therapy, your friend, family member, even looking at yourself, and you're like, I know I could benefit from this, and everything's there. But until you are ready to take that step, no one or nothing can force it upon you. And then when you finally have that kind of wake up call moment, or I'm ready, it really does change everything, but you've got to get there yourself. So this advice that you could give to people who are in these situations, I think it's still worth saying something, because it might just be that one step closer for them to go, okay, I'm getting closer to kind of leaving this situation or starting therapy. But it is your own self that can get you over that
Yeah.
finishing line.
Yeah, it has to be you, and you have to come to that realization somehow because nobody can force you to do it. I mean, I did go to different counselors and therapists and things, and I wasn't ready. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to let go of that emotion. Like, it's like grabbing a hold of a nettle. Like, I wasn't ready to let go. I
Yeah.
was always like almost hanging on to the belief that something would change and somebody would apologize and something different would happen to change the outcome that just never happened.
Yeah.
And I bet one of those situations that you've just talked about where you tried, was that related to seeing a coach on ITV and thinking that was the time that you felt that you were ready to talk?
Yeah, so I was I wasn't necessarily a nice person. Like I was highly emotional. I would cry a lot. I would be very short-tempered. Um, and I was struggling at work because I thought everybody hated me at work. Like the type of role that I've got, it was in compliance and in payroll. So like deadlines, and not everybody likes the person who chases everybody for deadlines, let's be honest. So
Hmm.
like, but I took that personally and I thought everybody like hated me at work. And I couldn't really process it. And again, I was going through these cycles of self-sabotage and like exhaustion, but like real exhaustion. So like burnout. And I seen Jude Dawn on ITV Tiny's News. And I was like, oh, she seems approachable. She's been through life. Maybe she would understand. But it took me a few months to try and like reach out. So I would keep like looking her up and then, oh no, she wouldn't be interested in my story, or like she couldn't help me. I'm broken because I strongly believed that I was broken. And it took me about 5 months. And then I sent her like a message and she didn't reply. And I was like, oh, see, even a coach doesn't want me. Like, whatever. But I didn't realize it was going into my spam. So
Ah.
she had replied, I just hadn't seen it. And then it was a while later that I'd seen it. So then we connected. And then that was the first
Oh.
bout of it. And actually, I just looked up my old session notes today um, just to see like how things have changed, like from my very first coaching session to like what I do now. It was 9 years ago.
Wow.
Um, and looking at my first summary notes today was just like, wow, yeah, it's
Can you
phenomenal.
give us a bit of a indication on what that is? What was happening 9 years ago?
It was just really, really self-doubt, feeling very isolated, a lot of limiting beliefs, that I wasn't good enough, that I was unlovable, that I was broken, that I wasn't doing a good job, that nobody likes me, that I wasn't capable of making friends. So it was very, very negative and very low self-worth.
And how did she help you with that then, starting off? Because I also think it's weird how everything went into your junk mail, and
Mm.
for you to feel that rejection from her. You know what I mean? Before that, and then to find it, kind of have that joy and go, did that maybe eager you on even more to go, this is my time now? I don't know. Like, I've got so much to go. I always think too spiritually and then go off on a tangent. But yeah, going back to the original question, how did she kind of break that down for you at the start then to kind of make you realize, okay?
So as we've probably established, I am quite spiritual, and I either feel a pull or I don't. So even when I found out my junk, yes, I initially felt it was rejection because I was like, oh well, I don't understand. Like, oh well, she doesn't even want me. Then I was like, oh, but it's there, and there's a reason why. There's a reason why it was there, or there was a reason why there's been the time delay or
Yeah.
whatever. And Jude is and was the coach that the friendly, like the friend that easy to talk to, the person that wasn't phased by no matter what I said, because there are some pretty rocky bits, and she just wasn't phased by it because we were focusing on where I was then and what my goal was going forward. It wasn't about open Pandora's box and like getting into the nitty-gritty of how the traumas, like how I felt. Yes, we had to visit them because that is a large part of how it's formed who I am. But it wasn't about, because some counselors you go to and that's all they focus on, and they're like stripping it all out. It wasn't about that at all, and it felt like natural and normal.
Yeah, and I suppose that's probably quite important to highlight, because I think some therapy, it's good to go right back, unpack it all, chronologically go through the trauma, and then go, right, that is it, now I can move on. Whereas this type, obviously you resonated and reacted better to kind of going, I don't want to talk about the past, I want to focus on the future. So even that kind of connection with that particular therapist, Jude, was what you were craving, but you didn't really know it.
Yeah, exactly that. And even then, I don't think I was fully ready. So that was nine years ago, and I did a series of sessions with Jude, and then I like drifted away, and we lost contact for a few years. And then during that time, I worked with a spiritual healer from Australia, and we did it remotely. And again, that was through connections and all sorts of woo-woo stuff, if people are into that.
Yeah, tell me.
we have a wide listener range, and actually my spiritual interest has grown since doing the pod. I've always had a little bit about it, and Lucy loves it, so yeah, feel free to share.
Yeah, so this spiritual healer from Australia, Sonia, she was introduced to me through a friend who I knew from school but has then moved to Australia. She seen me on Facebook and things that I was struggling, and said, oh, I've got a really good person, reach out to them. And instantly I felt a connection with Sonia, and we would do meditations online, and we would meet at the meditation, walk down the stream and discuss what animals we were seeing and sort of things like that. But that's where I learned about the spiritual meaning of lungs, of that sort of thing, because it was Sonia that taught me that, because I went through chest infections and pneumonia and all that good
It's
stuff.
like your chakras, isn't it? Because that's like your voice chakra.
Yeah. And was this then, so the work on yourself that you were told to do by Jenny when you had your out-of-body spiritual experience, do you think that was beginning when you first started seeing Jude? And obviously, even though you moved away from her, you were still seeing other people in that time. Do you think that was the start of the work that you were doing, or do you still think that came later?
I think it was the beginning of it, because I think I knew I didn't want to end up cleaning caravans in Northumberland or working in a cafe on a seasonal job. Like, I wanted more out of my life than any of that. And the only way I was going to do that was by moving to the city, which is what I did. And I think I've always had that drive that I didn't want to end up like that stereotypal thing. Like, I wanted something bigger and better, but whether I wanted something bigger or better for a better life, or whether it was because that's where I felt safe and that's where the lines get a bit muddy. But yeah, I always knew that there was something better than a seasonal job in the country.
And when you mentioned earlier about the physical effects of obviously of trauma, and you lost your voice for 7 months, was this around this time? Was it after? Was it before? Beginning? After?
So it was after. So it was after I got TED as well, so we've jumped quite a bit. So
Right, let's go back. Let's go back. Interested in the losing the voice thing. So let's wait. Let's move as we want to move chronologically. So obviously you've been involved in your spiritual world, your help, and you're moving through that. And obviously, eventually, you go back though and become part of the program that you did yourself, right?
yeah. So Jude changed a framework. So it wasn't the framework that she does now. She built this framework that takes you through various different types of coaching and therapy. So there's like some CBT in there. There's some reflection, some reframing. It takes you through a framework, if a better word. And she started up an academy. And I seen it advertised, and I was like, well, I could buy the package and then I've got it for myself just to keep going back to, because I keep going through this cycle. So maybe if I did the full course, then I would maybe just like feel better. Not ever thinking that I would be a qualified coach and be able to help other people. It was purely selfish to look after myself and get me in a better place so that I could be better at my job, like at my corporate job, and a calmer person. Never really fully expecting that I could actually coach anybody at the end of it. So I did sign up to it in 2022, 2023, and it took me long time to go through the course, the framework, because I think I was dragging my heels a bit, because I was just like, oh yeah, that's not really like, I don't really deserve to do this. Like, who's going to believe me, and who's going to want to like hear any of my story, which is ironic now, but who's going to want to like listen to anything that I've got to say or things. So I took a long time to go through it. And in amongst that, I did lose my voice for ages, 7 months in amongst that. And then I qualified 2024. And then again, I worked with volunteer clients and things. And then I had my first paying client last year.
Amazing.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, isn't it, that even though you're doing this work back on the program, doing it yourself, those doubts, that negativity about how you feel about yourself or felt about yourself is still circling all those years later.
Yeah. It's constant work. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I woke up and thought, yay, like, and not have any doubts. I have doubts all the time, but they're quieter than what they were. But seeing the results of people that I work with and seeing the transformation in myself in quite a short space of time, it just keeps driving. And then, like, if you do get those moments of doubt, you're like, yeah, but look how far I've actually come. And it all sped up and like projected forward from like last March. So just to rewind a little bit, last March, I've seen on Facebook that my grandfather had died. And I don't know how or why, but it just suddenly like went, oh, I'm never going to get that apology. I'm never going to get that well done, I'm proud of you, or anything like that. And I struggled to process it. I'm going to be honest. Like, I didn't know how to, because I learned to grieve that family when they were alive to the point of walking down the street and walk past them as if they were strangers. Like, it didn't affect me at all. I almost had to grieve again, and I didn't know how to process that. So again, spiritually, here we go again. I wrote him a letter. So I sat with my candle on a full moon and I wrote him a letter. And then I took it one step further. I filmed myself reading it.
Wow.
And there was stuff that came out my subconscious that I didn't even know I felt or thought or whatever. And then I burnt it, because burning it is releasing it. And then from then, so that was last March, as soon as I did that, I then got my first paying client. And then I set up my business, and then I set up my like business account, and and it's just started like because it felt like that part I was letting go. And that was it.
It's funny, we had a guest on a few weeks ago, well, more than that now, and we just did our 6-month episode that's come out today, and hers was on about a miscarriage. And since we've done the episode, the rose bush that she got brought on like around this miscarriage has died, and she said she's never been so happy
Yeah.
that this rose bush has died now. And I'm only related because like you burning the letter and
Yes,
it's gone. It's the
yeah.
same
Sign,
thing
yeah.
for her. Is like
It's
the
that release.
emotional weight, and yeah, the release, like Hannah says, has gone. Because I presume you were just, even though you grieved them obviously while they're alive, you kind of grieving the hope that something would have rolled back.
Yeah, because I think subconsciously, deep down, I always thought that there would be a knock at the door or a letter or a phone call or we know it was never your fault and all that good stuff. And I think you just secretly hope onto that.
Yeah, and seeing that on a social media platform, on Facebook, it's the last place you expect to see it. And what's obviously crazy is that you received other family news before that on social media again, didn't you? So it's the sort of second time that you've heard of something that's happening in your family. Like, can you talk to us a little bit about what happened the first time round?
Yeah, the first time round. So even if we jump back a bit further, so I would lived in North Northumberland and then decided that I wanted to move to the city to get a better job and all that good stuff. So I did that when I was 20, 21. Set up a home and had a job. And then I got it was Friday the 13th of February, 18 years ago. And it was about 10 o'clock at night. And all the message said was, do you think it's fair and right that my daughter grows up not knowing her family?
Wow.
And I was like, don't know. Is it? Don't know who you are.
Yeah, wow.
So then I did a bit more digging and there was a photo sent through and it was a photo of a little 3-year-old girl who looked identical to what I did at that age.
Wow, I've got goosebumps.
So there was no disputing that she was related. And found out I had a niece. And yeah. So yeah, that was all found out through Facebook.
2 massive pieces of family news that you're just seeing plastered all over Facebook. I'm surprised you haven't deleted your account.
That's how I find out. I mean, I can't do that.
We're going to find out the next bit of news. Tune in and tune in to see what else finds out on Facebook. God, but I mean, with your granddad as well. Obviously, I think how you explained that with the letter and the reading and the burning. You know, I was visualizing that as you were speaking about it, and everything that's happened since, like you said, it is absolutely a sign, isn't it? And do you think it's a sign from him that he's helping you with this, or it's a sign that he's just a better half out of your life completely?
I don't know who it's a sign from. It's maybe Jenny.
Yeah.
Because Jenny was still with us when the family fallout happened and she didn't understand why it happened and things like that. And I quite often would go to Jenny's grave and talk to Jenny and things like that. So it's maybe Jenny. It's maybe that I would probably rather believe that it's Jenny than him now because of everything that's happened.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. And I think before this last year, then before the Facebook post, after the first Facebook post, when the work's been done, we are in a period where you have spoken openly before about feeling like you didn't want to be here anymore. And we sort of alluded to it when you had your out of body experience with Jenny and you wanted to find out more. You were 19, you thought there was hope. This second time round, then, what kept you here again?
So the next time around was again a cycle of burnout, not feeling that anybody wanted me or liked me, that I was broken, I was unlovable. I'd come out of a really rocky relationship. Work was stressful. There was challenges and stresses connected with my niece and family and things, and I just didn't feel that I should be here anymore. I really like it. I just didn't think anybody would miss me if I wasn't here. So I used to go to a boot camp, and somebody at the boot camp had a litter of cockapoo puppies. And they were like, you need to get a dog. And I was like, I can't look after myself. Like, there's no way I can have a dog. And then they were like, no, you do. You need a dog. And I was like, right, I'll do you a deal. I probably would want a boy if I had to choose. and I'll come and I'll sit on the floor, and if one picks us and it's one that's available, then it's a sign. But
Yeah.
if none come and none pick me, I'm okay with that. But let's have a go. So there was seven available, and there was one boy that hadn't been picked and one girl that hadn't been picked. I swear down, I sat on the kitchen floor, and one puppy came and sat like in here, like underneath like my rib cage between my arm and my rib, and it was a boy.
Oh, I
So
love
Ted,
that.
Yes, gotta
Ted,
say little Ted.
little Ted, I would arguably say saved my life,
Oh,
because he taught me things that I didn't think were possible, that I wasn't broken, that I was lovable, that I was needed, that I was wanted, and he gave me a purpose. You have to walk them, you have to feed them, you have to
mhm.
look after yourself because you've got a dog to look. I nearly said human, he's not human, but you've got you've got a living thing to look after. So he definitely gave me purpose, and that was 2019.
Wow.
I
I
suppose
mean,
it's that, like, I was going to say, that unconditional love
yeah.
as well, isn't it? That safety that you've been, looking for. You've done the therapy, and then little Ted just waddles over, little puppy, and he's like, I'm here.
I know, it was just mad.
Loyal as well. Like dogs are just the most incredible creatures. And like you said, they're not for everyone, but the vast majority of people love dogs. Just having that responsibility and them just giving you that love constantly. And you can't explain it. And obviously Lucy sat with Hamish, her cat, on her lap. And
Yeah.
the
Don't get
thing,
offended by the dog talk.
lots of animals. And it is just beautiful that, that was the sign that you were looking for. And Ted, like you said, saved your life.
Yeah. And then 3 years later, I thought, oh, well, Ted's so well behaved and Ted's so loving, I'll get another one. And it was the same mum and dad. And I've now got Jasper, his brother, as well. So I've got two.
Oh,
Is Jasper as well
oh,
behaved as Ted?
No.
No,
yeah.
they never are they? They say that with children as well, don't they?
I didn't know that though, but yeah.
Oh, I love that though. And now you've got Ted and Jasper, and obviously your life just feels sort of complete now, right?
Yeah, well, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Ah,
I'm still not in a relationship. I still haven't mastered that bit yet, but I think,
Neither have I, Hazel. Neither have I.
and to be
But
honest, I'm all right with it. Like, I'm absolutely fine. I think society kind of years ago taught you. I think it's more accepted now, but I think years ago it was like, you need a partner, you need this, you need that. And
yeah.
I've been on
I'm
my
still
own a long time
intrigued in
now.
this BT Connect. Was it text messages? Could you see them before? Like, just
You
give
might
me a
be
bit
too
of an insight.
young. You might be too young. So it's like BT Cellnet, and you
I
used to
remember
text
that.
like you used to text like
like
a
teletext.
No, it's not text messages. BT
you
Cellnet
I
was a
know.
network.
but you just text this number, like you know how you used to have like love heart columns in the newspapers. So it
Yeah.
would be like text 61057 or whatever, and then it would be like your ASL, so age, sex, location, and like you just like have a line of text, and then I'll just go randomly
Go meet.
meeting people.
How spontaneous. I mean, like we've done an episode on modern day dating, and wow, it is crazy. But I think, like you said, I think that shows so much growth and development from your kind of life into where you are now. The fact that you can sit and go, I'm okay with that though. You're not choosing to be second best and just being with someone for the sake of it. You have got Jasper and Ted. You've got them to love you unconditionally, like Luce was saying earlier. And that what you get from animals, you can't replicate. Like you can't, because animals are basically so direct. They'll just tell you how they feel just by either being with you, not being with you. Do you know what I mean? Like, but if you treat an animal right, they will just love you forever. And it seems like you have got that little dynamic down to a T.
Yeah, there's not many places I go or things I do that they're not in there or with me, or they are a huge part of my life. And it's like anybody wants to be part of me, they have to accept the dogs, or else they'll not be part of me,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I agree. I agree. And obviously we've referenced it now a couple of times in terms of your 7-month voice loss, and you said that happened after getting TED. So you're in this content space. TED chose you. What an amazing feeling. You're getting to grips with having a dog. You're still doing the work on yourself, still obviously doing the program and all this kind of stuff. And then what led you to then have another physiological outbreak in terms of trauma equaling your health?
Because I never learned that didn't need the validation. So I was still working, even if I had flu or whatever, I was still working because you couldn't take a day off work. That's failing, that's rejection, that's what will people think, that's letting people down, and I still strongly believe that I couldn't say no and I couldn't be ill, I couldn't call in sick, and I had to, I don't know, go and do a family thing as well as working, as well as walking the dog. I didn't have time to be ill, so I didn't listen to my body. And it's a bit like if you pull the handbrake on your car will still move. But if you had five handbrakes on your car, like you're not going to move. And my body just kept putting the handbrake on, and I wasn't listening.
Hmm.
And did you ever get that validation in the end? 'Cause I know you spoke a lot about it. Like, if you're like, Granddad would have said, obviously, if he's proud of you, we spoke about those, relationships and stuff. Has that come from yourself now? Could you openly say, I'm proud
S-
of
So
myself? 'Cause I think that's hard to say sometimes as well.
you would never ever have caught me saying this pre last year, like because it like literally went, I'm proud. Um, but I am so, 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 so proud of everything that I have and am achieving now. And it was literally burning the letter. Before
Wow.
burning the letter, I would never have said it. But my self value, my self worth, my self validation, you don't need somebody else's pat on
Hmm.
the back. You need to believe yourself that you can do it. And I can because I am. And I am now
Yeah.
like the person that I needed then. But I was always the person I just needed to look in the bloody mirror. But
Mhm.
I
I
love
didn't
that.
know.
We're proud of you as well, Hazel.
Yeah.
We're proud of you.
And obviously, you built a business helping women to obviously be proud of themselves now, who look fine on the outside, but obviously internally quite can be exhausted from the survival patterns you've lived through.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how's that feel for you?
And it is immensely pride. It is so, so, so rewarding seeing someone come that's anxious, that's very tearful at the first session to literally skipping out the door by the session 12. And then I met one of my clients 6 weeks ago who I was working with last year. And she was like a different person. Like it was as if she'd grown because she was like walking so tall. She wasn't wearing a dark coloured hoodie. She had a bright coloured jumper on, and like she was continuing doing the work that she did with me, and it's literally transformed her life. That is more rewarding than anything just seeing, because I am the coach that I needed, but
Mm.
I'm now sharing my experience, my thoughts and process with others, because I genuinely thought for all those years that nobody else would understand. Nobody else would have experienced anything that I had. And not necessarily people have, but I can resonate with so many
Mhm.
different things. And that's why it makes me a really, really good coach to come and talk to, because there's nothing that's going to freak me out or scare me, because I've probably been through it or seen it or something that I can relate to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's really good.
And what would you say to our listeners then? What are the biggest signs that someone is stuck in these patterns, in these survival kind of modes without even realizing it?
They're probably snapping at the kids or the partner. Um, their self-care's probably gone out the window, so probably not showering every day, or they're probably just slapping their hair back or not putting
Mm.
makeup on, or
Reminds me of
so
Ali, Hannah's friend, and her.
Yeah.
self-care will
Our
go
guest.
out the window.
Yeah.
Um, you'll wake up tired and wired. Doom scrolling, you'll lose hours doom scrolling. Um, and you'll end up a bit of a recluse probably as well,
Mm.
because you'll not want to make the effort because you'll think nobody's bothered, and you'll get a bit paranoid about what's on social media because you'll see people that you know and they're out having a good time and, oh, but they didn't invite me, and oh, so it must be because they hate me, and you start internalizing and catastrophizing, and you end up, your space gets really, really, really small because you've convinced yourself that the outside world hates you.
And what was the first step there when you would recommend anyone sat there now listening to this going, that is me? What should they kind of do tomorrow?
The first step's recognizing it. And then I would probably say, before even reaching out to someone, the easiest technique to do is get yourself a sheet of paper and write down what is in your control that you can do something about and what is outside of your control. And then don't tackle the full list. Pick two things from the list, or even one thing, and do that one thing well for a week. So if it's, I haven't been having a shower every day, have a shower when you'll feel able every day, or whatever it looks like, for a week, and then build onto it. Don't rip the plaster off and try and do everything at once, because you won't go anywhere forward. But I would definitely, the first step would be writing down what's in my control that I can do something about. What's out of your control, almost forget about it, because
Just
there's no
ignore
point
it.
wasting your energy on it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I would say is reach out to someone, whether it's someone like me, or another coach or someone, because you don't know what you don't know. And just having that conversation with someone could be enough to just change something in your mind and go, oh, that's what I need to do. It's not necessarily working with someone. It's just having that conversation, that mirror showing up to you and going, oh, I hadn't seen that blind spot. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
look
'cause
at that.
that's something you said in your notes. What I think sticks with me, it's like, you're not broken, you are patterned.
Yeah.
And that's you
Yeah.
literally explaining that now. Like, get up, have a shower, that
Yeah.
routine, going from
It's
there.
almost like putting the pieces of a broken mirror back together. So it might be smashed, you know, in your head you might feel like my life is smashed, but actually if you put each little piece back together, you're going to get a mirror again. And I
Gotta
think
get a
that
disco ball. You're gonna get a disco ball.
that's even better. Love that. And obviously, disco ball and all, what we will do is make sure that we tag and link you, Hazel, because obviously everything that you've spoken
Thank you.
about has brought you to your business. And that little piece of advice there, we hope will help 1 or 100 people, whoever. But, you know, if people want more and they like what they've heard from you, because they can resonate, because they can see someone who's gone through real life trauma, then we will make sure that we are putting all your info everywhere so people can get hold of you. And obviously, in terms of moving forward for you, we always ask every one of our guests the same question after we've explored their story. Who is Hazel becoming now?
I am becoming the person I needed 25 years ago. I am the coach that I wish I had then.
Love that. So
Yeah.
again, really simple and really short, but gave you goosebumps. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Well,
And
I think that has been such an extraordinary conversation. We're really, really grateful that you've shared with us and you've chosen to come on Becoming Lucy. Again, we feel loved, we feel chosen, and we hope you've been able to share and feel comfortable. And we just know there are going to be people that are just like, wow, what a lady, and they're going to feel proud of you just like we are. And we're so happy that you finally feel proud of yourself and you can validate everything that you've gone through. And we just wish you so much luck for the rest of your business, for your future, and obviously give Ted and Jasper a big cuddle from us as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. It was a lovely experience. Thank
Oh
you.
God! We'll tell you what she says when we cut off the air. But I'm sure, like I say, if people listening might not all relate to the details and obviously what happened in the family, I think they'll relate to the feelings that you've definitely expressed today, from exhaustion, overthinking, you know, workaholic. So, and again, just have a look into those patterns, guys. See what you can tackle yourselves, and if not, feel free to reach out to Hazel, where we'll share her details below in the summary. But I think on that note, I think I'm going to say a goodbye for me.
Hey.
And
Bye from me.
bye from Hazel. Right. See you later. Right. Bye.